Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another video. Now today we are 2/3 of the way through the season and we're going to be looking at the championship table, looking at both ends, the top and the bottom, and seeing which teams I think might go up and might go down. So let's get into this. So then, if we start at the bottom and work our way up, we've got Wycombe Wanderers, who are bottom of the table, 24th. Now Wycombe, we all know, they came up through the League One playoffs last year. Fair play to them for getting here, but they've got the smallest budget, haven't got great resources, and they are bottom with 20 points from 30 games. It's clearly not enough. In this division, you at least have to get 1 point per game, if not more, to survive. And with 15-16 games to go, can you see Wycombe staying up? Not really. The bookmakers have them down to go down at the bottom of the table. I think they're projected to get about 30 points or 35 points by the end of the season. So it's a bit sad really, but I think the expectations were there for Wycombe to finish bottom, and you know, fair play, they've given it a good go. Their last result was 0-0 at Millwall, but they need to be wins, you know, they can't be drawing games. They've picked up decent wins over the season, but with a third of the season to go, can they get out of this? They're already 11 points adrift, and then they have to match the teams just above them to the end of the season. I can't see it happening, Wycombe, I'm sorry. Moving up one place, we've got Sheffield Wednesday in 23rd. Now this is interesting. Sheffield Wednesday obviously started on -12. They had 6 points added back on, and their season's been a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. There was points where they've looked like they weren't going to get back into it. When they had Tony Pulis, their fans were dead against him. He's gone, but then they picked up the form, and they've just been really unpredictable, Sheffield Wednesday. Now they did get themselves into a decent position where they were outside of the bottom three a couple of weeks ago, but their last two results, a 1-0 loss to Stoke and a 1-0 loss at home to Birmingham, they're terrible defeats. They can't afford that, and it has plummeted them back down to 23rd. They are on 28 points, they've played 30, so they've got 16 games to go. Can Sheffield Wednesday get out of it? It's going to be very close. I think the Sheffield Wednesday fans will acknowledge that. I'm finding it hard to call. I've seen Sheffield Wednesday a few times this season and thought they might just do it, but it'll be very close. They have got experience in this level. They've been in the Championship for a good few years now, but they're not in a good position. Can they get out of it? Who knows? Next up, we've got another Yorkshire club, Rotherham United. Now, this is a familiar position for Rotherham to be in. They do get into this Championship via League One, but they always seem to go back down, and it's going to be another close one. But there's been signs from Rotherham this season that they can do it. They've battled in a few games, and some of their recent results haven't quite gone their way, but they're still in there. They've got a couple games in hand, which is something that makes you think they could get out of this. But once again, with Rotherham, it's going to be very close. Now, they've got 29 points from 29 games. That's 1 point per game, so 17 games left. Their games in hand, I believe, are against QPR and Luton. It's going to be so close, isn't it? It's going to be so close. I think realistically, 50 points should be enough. Can they get there? It's going to be tough. But we've seen signs from Rotherham this season that they can stay up. But can they do it from now until the end of the season? It's going to be close. I don't know. I just don't know with Rotherham. Now next up, you've got Birmingham, who are just above the relegation zone after a fantastic win away to Sheffield Wednesday. Boy, did they need that. It looked like Karanka was on his way out. He still might be, who knows. But that win has just about, for now, lifted them outside of that bottom three. Now Birmingham, for me, I always do familiarise them with being a bottom half Championship team, but never usually in the bottom three. They've had a couple of skirmishes over the years where they've had to survive on the final day, when Paul Caddis scored that equaliser away at Bolton. I remember that one, sending Doncaster down instead. But can Birmingham do it? They're not having a good season, are they? They're just above the drop zone, but who knows? That win against Sheffield Wednesday, can that be the turning point? Can that be the turning point? It needs to be. I'm not sure about Birmingham, you know. I'm just not very convinced. Now, above them, we've got my team, Coventry City, in 20th place. Now, we've picked up 34 points. We've now got a little bit of a cushion after that win against Brentford, but it's still so tight, isn't it? And the fact that Rotherham and Sheffield Wednesday have got games in hand doesn't fill me with much confidence. But Coventry, they needed that win against Brentford. It has lifted us above that bottom three, but we've got Swansea next, and then Blackburn, and then Middlesbrough, and then Derby. They're not easy games, and no games in the Championship are easy, to be honest. So it's going to be tough, but I just have a bit of confidence in Coventry. We've had a few players come back from injuries, Liam Kelly, Tyler Walker, and the way we set up against Brentford, if we can set up the same for the majority of the rest of our games, and with Matty Godden coming back, I feel like Coventry will just survive. But once again, it's going to be close. Now next up, you've got Derby County in 19th. Now they've done alright, they've done pretty well recently, except for their last defeat against Watford 2-1, which has seen them slide down the table a little bit. But they've played 30 games, they've got an extra game in hand on the rest of us down there. So 34 points as well, their goal difference a bit better than Coventry's. I don't know about Derby, I was convinced they were going to get out of it, but who knows? It's all going to come down to how many points you need to survive. I think Derby should be alright. They've got enough quality. They've got Wayne Rooney, who seems to be finding his feet as a manager. And they just need to go on another decent run where they don't lose too many games. And Derby, I'm fairly confident Derby should be okay. Now next up, you've got Huddersfield Town in 18th. This is a tricky one, very tricky. Huddersfield Town, up until this weekend just gone, I was convinced they were sliding towards that bottom three, but then they pulled out a 4-1 win against Swansea. Who saw that coming? It lifted them up to 18th and now on 36 points. They're 7 points above the bottom three, albeit they've played a few more games than Rotherham and Sheffield Wednesday. Who knows? Huddersfield, I'm not sure. They've been on bad runs this season, which makes me think they'll be down there. But with the qualities they've shown against Swansea, can they do it? I think they might just be able to get away with it this season. I think they should just stay up, but it's going to be close again. Now next up, you've got Nottingham Forest. Forest, wow, what's going on there? Chris Hughton's really done the job, hasn't he? Start of the season, it wasn't looking good. Houston came in, and initially, I didn't think he was doing that well, but recently, they've done really well. I think they've only lost 2 of their last 10 or 11 games, which is really good, and they're picking up a few wins. They're on 36 points as well. They've got a good cushion over the relegation zone, and they're another team that have been in this position before where they're championship experienced, they know what to do in this position, and realistically, they probably only need 4 more wins from now until the end of the season, a couple of draws, and they should be alright. So I wouldn't really fear too much if I was a Forest fan, but it isn't done yet, but I think they should be okay. Now next up, you've got Luton Town, who have 37 points, but only 30 games played, so they've got an extra game. I think they should be alright as well. They've shown a lot of quality this season. Just recent results have seen them slip a little bit. They lost against Cardiff and then they've lost against Stoke, which has seen them slide down the table. But that is the volatility of the Championship table. You know, if you lose 2 games, you go flying down the table. I think Luton should be fine, to be honest. They've got quite enough, you know, they've got enough quality, haven't they? They've got James Collins who bags the goals. And, you know, realistically, any team that's about 15th or 16th now probably only need 4 more wins to get over the line. So I think they should be alright. And then the last team we'll look at in terms of the relegation battle will be Bristol City. I haven't been impressed by Bristol City. I think they should still be okay because they're on 39 points, but they're on a bad run. I think they've lost their last 6 games. It's not looking good for Bristol City. A lot of uncertainty around there, but they should be okay in terms of safety. They've got 10 points over the drop and there's only a third of the season to go. It would be catastrophic if they were to fall down into the bottom 3, but we've seen it before with Hull City last year. They were mid-table halfway through the season and then they got relegated, so that's what can happen in the Championship, but I think Bristol should be okay. Now after that, the next teams you've got is Preston, QPR, Blackburn, Millwall, Barnsley, Stoke and Middlesbrough, and I'm chucking them into the same bowl just because at the moment I think they're all in a similar position. They're all mid-table, they've all got an outside chance of the playoffs, and to be honest, one of those teams could sneak into 6th. It depends on how the top 6 do. But realistically, I think the majority of those teams will probably just finish outside the playoffs and then they'll be in the Championship next year. But to be fair, the majority of them teams, it's been an impressive season. I mean, Blackburn and Stoke, maybe Middlesbrough, they might have fancied their chances of getting in the top 6. They still might. But teams like Barnsley, I mean, QPR have flown up there, but Barnsley in particular, they've done really well to get into the position they are. And who knows, can any of them break into the top 6? Now in 7th place, you've got Cardiff City. They're doing well. They're doing really, really well. They've just beat Preston 4-0 and their form is electric. They played Coventry, my team, the other day. They won 3-1 and they're just hitting the back of the net a lot, aren't they? Kiefer Moore is looking ruthless and Mick McCarthy's done a great job there. Their next game, I believe, is against Bournemouth, who is the team just above them, and there's 3 points in that. 6th versus 7th, that's a massive game. I'm not sure who to back for that one because they both might make the playoffs or they both might not. It's going to be close, but Cardiff, they are flying up there. Now the next team is Bournemouth. They've regained a bit of momentum. They found their feet a bit, but they did lose to QPR and they can't really afford too many more defeats between now and the end of the season because you've got teams like Cardiff, Middlesbrough, Stoke, Millwall, Barnsley. They're all knocking on the door. They're all trying to break in there. And Bournemouth just need to be a bit more consistent, or they might find themselves on the wrong side of the playoffs come the end of the season. Now next up you've got Reading, who are on 51 points, and it's a strange one with Reading. I'd have thought they should be alright, and I still think they should be, but that defeat to Middlesbrough's really opened things up, and Reading aren't quite secure yet. They've still got a third of the season to ensure that place in the playoffs. I think they'll settle for even just 6th at the moment, just as long as they're in the playoffs, but I think Reading should be okay. They've shown signs this season that they are worth the top 6, and to be honest, it was their fantastic start that's seen them stay up there. But who knows, I think Reading should just be alright for the top 6. Now next up, you've got the 3 teams trying to squeeze into the top 2, which is Swansea, Watford and Brentford. And I'll chuck Norwich in there as well. But if you look at the table, it's a bit different between Norwich. There's a big gap between Norwich and the rest of them. Norwich look very comfortable, and they've done it before, haven't they? I'd be stupid not to back them to go up. And probably as champions as well. They just know this division very, very well, like the back of their hand. But between Brentford, Watford and Swansea, there's 1 point, albeit Swansea have 2 games in hand. But, you know, 2 games in hand, who knows what you're going to get from that. Swansea's last game was a 4-1 defeat against Huddersfield, so it is really, really wide open. But at the moment, the only team I'm feeling confident of getting the automatics is Norwich. Between Brentford, Watford and Swansea, not sure. Watford's form, maybe they might do it, but it's going to be close. That wraps up today's video, guys. That is the Championship table as it looks now, 2/3 of the way into the season. It's so close, isn't it? I don't even think I could call it with 1 game to go. It's going to be a very, very close finale at both ends of the table, but we'll see what happens. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like, please share it around with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.